The New York Mets got some very bad news yesterday. One of the things in baseball that makes me crazy is the old hamate bone. It's the bone that's right below your pinky. If you're listening to this or if you're watching this, it's right when you're holding a bat, you get hit by a pitch here and it really hurts and the player drops the bat. That 10 minutes, and it is only 10 minutes, forget what we announce, but the 10 minutes when we bring the player to the x-ray room that we all have inside our stadiums. We take an x-ray and then we're right there standing outside the x-ray room because we don't want to die of radiation exposure. And we say to the doctor, hey, what do we got? And they say, broken. We know. We may not announce it right after a game. We may want to wait and see. We're going to see how he feels tomorrow. The problem the Mets are having right now is their starting catcher, Francisco Alvarez, the guy who is a huge part of their team, notwithstanding that they now have Juan Soto. He is going to miss 6 to 8 weeks, and losing your starting catcher if you're the Mets is a real problem. Forget the fact that Montes and Minaya are gone, and they're relying on Holmes to be close to a number 2 starter when he's not been a starter. The reality is when you look at 2024 and Alvarez, when he played the 90 games he played, the Mets were 30 games over 500. When he didn't play for the 62 games, guess what? 24 and 38, which shows you the importance of the guy facing the field. We spend more time trying to identify people who can catch. We're the ones who made JT Realmuto a catcher. He was an infielder, and we thought he had the right stuff, Ed Harris, to become a catcher, and he's become a borderline Hall of Fame catcher. The importance going into a season with your starting catcher healthy should not be underestimated. We went into a season, Coca, where we had Mike Redmond and Ramon Castro as our catchers following the World Series win when we traded Pudge Rodriguez. And we were not happy because we needed a frontline starter, and that's what caused us to trade later for Paul LaDuca. It is such a critical position, and they're so hard to find. And when you can find a performing catcher who is not yet getting paid free agent dollars, you have found gold. It's almost as important as finding outperforming pitchers, meaning pitchers who perform pre-arbitration well above what their contract is. Paul Skeens, what the Mariners had for all those years while their pitchers were healthy and not all that expensive. David Stearns is the president of baseball operations for the New York Mets. He was asked whether they're going to look outside the organization to try to get catching help. And like Brian Cashman and like other good GMs, you do not ever say, oh man, we're desperate. We're going to be looking out. Instead, he said, we'll see. I think we feel good about the guys we have in camp. Spoiler alert. We never feel good about the guys we have in camp below our starting catcher. We bring in a bunch of depth and we bring in a bunch of people to be there during spring training, to catch bullpens, to give relief during spring training games, to provide depth at AAA in case of injury. We never feel good about it. It's generally catchers who are over the hill and trying to hang on, or it's catchers who are young and they're all hit or they're all defense, but they're not a complete package. Francisco Alvarez to the Mets was the complete package. And the good news is that when you break the hamate bone, it really is only 6 to 8 weeks. And it's not one of those things where we're misleading you, because if it just heals faster, it has nothing to do with rehab. It has nothing to do with how hard you work or how much you drink or how much you don't drink or how much you party. It really just has to do with your body and its recovery functions. If you're lucky, it's the short end of the missed time. If you're unlucky, it's the long end of the missed time, but it will heal. Alvarez will return. The way baseball is, if I'm the New York Mets, I am not going out to acquire a catcher right now. I am going with what we have until he comes back because there really is no uncertainty here. Alvarez will be back at some point. My guess is it'll be toward the end of May at best. And the Mets know that in a tough NL East that they're competing with the Phillies and Braves, but they also have the belief that all three of those teams are going to make the playoffs. And the season is so long that a guy missing 6 to 8 weeks is not going to crush you. So Francisco Alvarez is going to get surgery. It's going to get fixed, and then he'll be back. Will it be too late? No, it won't.